everybody, it's Leila Mullen from Be Inspired Horsemanship, and today is Sunday, February 2nd, which is a number of things. Groundhog's Day, it's also Super Bowl Sunday, and we also want to start our series today on Sunday with Sundays. So we're going to be starting a brief, couple of minute long horsemanship philosophy to start your week out right every Sunday. We're going to post that on Sunday nights, and we're going to be taking our inspiration from one of our off-the-track thoroughbreds that we're restarting. This is Sunday's Mistake. So we're going to be doing a little segment every Sunday called Sundays with Sunday, and it's going to be inspired by as he's being a character, it's going to be inspired by things that we want to kind of keep in mind or that have come up during the week that we want to kind of reflect and think on for the following week in our horsemanship journey. And the reason we're kind of taking our inspiration from Sunday is because out of our 3 restarts we have right now, 2 thoroughbreds and our draft Haflinger Cross Shermie, Sunday is kind of the most challenging of the 3. So he's definitely the most sensitive. He's definitely the one that has kind of the most to say, but feels like he's probably not had his opinion or his feelings taken into consideration as much. So he's a little defensive. He can be a little resentful or bracy in pressure. He also can be super sweet. He's really smart. He picks up on things quick. But you kind of have to be on your A game with him, which is great for me. So to take maybe some of the things I would consider, you know, minor struggles or setbacks or things that maybe worked right away with another horse, but don't work right away with him, you know, to turn that into a positive training moment for us, we are going to be kind of reflecting on that every Sunday, and sharing some of the horsemanship we think can assist other people in getting their weeks started off right with their horses. So today what I want to talk about is horses and positive leadership. So, you know, a lot of times when you have horses, especially a guy like this, you know, you need to establish yourself as their leader really quickly. This guy tends to take over. He'll kind of want to do his thing. If he thinks that you're yielding to him versus him yielding to you, he's going to be pretty quick to catch on to that. But at the same time, being a leader to your horse doesn't mean you have to be overly aggressive, overly assertive. It doesn't mean that you have to get really emotional, which a lot of people tend to do with your horse, to get your point across. So, you know, with this horse, he's a great example of how you have to find that fine line between being a leader and being passive, or being a leader and being a bully. Because if you bully him, he gets really defensive. He gets very overwhelmed by the pressure, and he will react in a way that isn't maybe as easy for someone with less horse experience to handle. So, you know, in order to be safe and operate around him, you have to be able to convey your point in a non-emotional, positive and not aggressive or bullyish way. So that side of things is really important with a horse like this. On the other hand, you can't just let him say no and you go, okay, if you don't want to do it, like, I don't want to rock the boat and I don't want to upset you. You have to be able to say, I understand and I hear that you feel like this is a no, but I'm saying it's a yes. And so you have to be willing to be a leader at the same time. And to me, the line with a horse like this is being able to say, you know, make things at first really simple for him to understand. He's really, really smart, but if you throw too many confusing things at him, you ask him too many questions at once, sometimes at the very beginning with a horse like this, you can overwhelm them. And once they're overwhelmed and they're just feeling like they need to fight or flight from pressure, you've lost any learning frame of mind you have with a horse like this. So for me, the very first thing I do to establish positive leadership with a horse like this is to say, okay, I'm only going to ask you one question, and that question is, can you yield to me? And then I don't make that yielding a pushy or confining exercise. I just say, this is my space, this is my bubble, this is my area, and this is the boundary. And I need you to yield to me anytime that bubble moves toward you, or anytime I have that bubble established. And I don't care where you go with your feet. I just want you first and foremost to yield them, and I want it to be something repetitive and something you can understand and something you do feel like you have control over. So my question simply is, do you yield to me, and can you consistently give me your feet? And I try to make that in a way where I say it first with this guy, it's okay if you go somewhere, and I'm not going to designate at the very beginning where that somewhere is. So for me, it becomes a question with him of, can we start this communication? Can we start a conversation? Not a yelling match, not a screaming match, and not a conversation where you do all the talking and I do all the listening, and not a conversation where I do all the talking and you do all the listening. It's a communication, it's a conversation, but that conversation starts with the question of, can you respect my space and yield to me, just like a leader horse would in the field. So if you're having some struggles with your horse, respecting your leadership, think about starting a conversation and making that conversation pretty simple and pretty understandable and very repeatable at first for you and your horse. So it may just be a conversation of, hey, can you give me my space? He says, yeah, I know that if you step toward me, I need to give you some space. And he's okay with that, and he's comfortable with that. A month ago, he maybe wouldn't have been as comfortable with that. But because I've done the exercise in a repeatable, positive fashion where I'm believable, I'm repetitive, I always kind of am consistently giving him the same answer, he understands what's expected of him. And once you can start that conversation, once the horse kind of understands the playing field and that you move his feet, and that you're the leader, the positive leader in the situation, you can pretty quickly start to work on other things that maybe would have seemed overwhelming to him, but because you've provided some positive leadership, he's more willing to try. So I'm Leela Mullen. This is Sunday's Mistake, and thanks for sharing our first short little video of Sundays with Sunday. So we'll be back next Sunday with some more thoughts on horsemanship to get you started and maybe get your brain thinking about your horsemanship for the upcoming week with your horses. Thanks everybody, and have a happy Sunday.